some of that juicy objection handling knowledge that you want, featuring one of my cats, and I got another one right here. Let's get into it, y'all. When it comes to handling objections, one of the biggest issues that I see people make is they don't know the difference between somebody venting and just talking versus a bona fide objection. Meaning, you need to know the difference when somebody's just expressing themselves, dumping emotions, having a reaction to something, versus giving you a legitimate objection. So, right, I started in the real estate world. Let me give you an example. You guys are sitting down with the client. You give them the price. Let's say the home is worth $600,000, but they want $650 or $700. Oh man, $600, this and that. And they're gonna emotionally just bleh, diarrhea everywhere, right? Verbally diarrhea and vomit everywhere. Now, the rookie immediately goes into panic mode and starts trying to handle an objection that may not even be an objection yet. Because one of the first initial answers I give is say, great, I was disappointed too. However, it is what it is. Can you see why that's the right price? Even though we may not like it, can we understand why $600,000 is the correct price based on what the market is telling us? And after all that, most of the time they're gonna say yes. Then you move on. I don't have to handle any objection. I just let them dump and I'm good. The rookie will start, well, this is why, and you start explaining yourself as if you're handling an objection when you really didn't get the objection yet. When I try to move forward and they don't allow me or say, you know what, no, we can't do it, right? No way, we don't see it, we want more, it's gotta be worth more. Then you have an actual objection that you're gonna deal with versus just, again, not knowing how to respond to the emotional outburst, because so much of handling objections is dealing with that discomfort that they give you in that moment around whatever subject matter you're talking about. Price, commission, fees, terms, whatever industry that you're in, right? And many of you and many of the rookie or non-expert salespeople fall into that issue because they think based on that emotional reaction that something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. So calm down. Take a breath, let them unload, right? Same thing when I talk about the net sheet, right? And we're going over what they're gonna net at the end and all the fees and all that stuff. They complain, oh man, that's a lot, this and that, great. I know 500,000 was a little bit less than you were expecting. However, is it a number that you can live with? Is it a number ultimately that you're okay with? And a lot of times they say yes, handled, move forward. I just asked one confirmation question. I didn't have to handle the actual or any objection because guess what? There isn't any objection yet. And this is cat number 2, right? They're both on my lap right now, which is funny. That's where we're at with this thing. So again, notice the difference between an objection and recognize, is it a complaint? Is it emotional venting? Is it just unloading? Or is it a legitimate objection? Because there's a clear difference there, y'all. And a lot of you are losing deals because you're talking too much or you're handling something that's not even an issue yet. So make sure that you're doing this thing correctly, okay? That's the first one. Number 2, a big mistake that I see a lot of people make is when it comes to handling particular objections, like let's say a commission or a fee objection, they are unable to loop and they only have 1 or 2 handlers for that thing, right? We're in an age now where communication is becoming a lost art. The art form has been shunned, it's been put away, especially with channels like mine being suppressed. People aren't really paying attention to that stuff at the level that they should. There's a lot of surface level BS out there that, again, you can just read in a $5 book that people regurgitate, and they try to sell you some nonsense about, oh, sales is different now. No, it's not different. We as a whole, our communication skills have gone down. Our dedication to understanding and developing communication has gone down drastically. That's the problem. So with that said, I would recommend that all of you have at least 5 ways of handling an objection. So when I look at my Team BC University script book for all my students and my team members, right, there's probably 10 pages worth of scripts and then 50 to 60 plus pages of handling objections, and we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 objection handlers for every common objection you're going to get in a sale. And the reason that I saturated people with so many is, number 1, to give them more versatility depending on their style, but number 2, to endlessly give people the ability to loop and come back to a different one, because you're never going to hear the same objection 8, 9, 10 times if there's a percentage chance of you actually handling it, meaning you're dealing with a qualified person, a motivated person, and you can articulate yourself and present properly. You're never going to get that many objections. So with that said, Many of you are limited. You have one handler or maybe two. And tops, some people have three, and those are the people that are above average. You got to have at least 5 or 6. Because by virtue of that, you then have the ability to do the next point that I brought up, which is looping. Looping is this. When I'm speaking to people and I ask for the order and they say no, I take a step back, I ask some more qualifying questions, and then I go for the ask again. I ask them to sign, or I ask them to commit whatever it is that I'm selling or whatever it is that I'm offering in that moment. You don't just bulldoze people, sign, 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 sign. No, you ask them to sign, they say no, great, well remind me about blah, blah, blah. Okay, you said this is da-da-da-da, and then this abides with that timeline, right? Great. So with that said, let's go ahead and move forward because this is the right step. They say no again, I take a step back, I qualify, then I ask again, right? You have to be able to build that up. Now, that's primarily 2 ways of developing your ability to loop and always come back, right? Number 1 is through extensive, intense role play with very good role play partners that are on the same journey as you. This is why many of you who aren't in coaching, you lack this. You're dealing with a lot of fair weather, half-assed people out there who aren't dedicated. In a coaching program like mine, as an example, you're going to be surrounded by top-notch salespeople who are dedicated, who will role play these specific scenarios with you over and over, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours every day. That's how you develop it. The other one is understanding these objection handlers and lines that you would memorize, right? And you drill them and memorize them enough to where now when you're put in these role play and real life scenarios, you can deliver. So you understand the words, why they're said, and you master them, right? You memorize them, and then you use them in real sales situations and in role play, and you develop that skill and refine it. And what many of you are missing is you're not surrounded by killers. And this makes a huge difference. Competition makes you better. Competition motivates you. Competition fires you up. Competition and brotherhood pushes you to do things and go beyond your limits. The easiest example I can give you is physically. If we sprint against each other in a competition, you're going to run faster than you do on your own. If I'm now your coach or your trainer in that physical thing, you're going to show up more. We're going to push you more. You're going to develop more versus trying to do it on your own. That's just the reality. So it's something that you need to understand. If you really want to get good at objection handling, you need to access better information and better people, right? When you're around the elite, when you're learning from the elite, when you associate with the elite, guess what? Eventually, you're going to become elite if you stay dedicated and you, again, commit to that process, right? So these are a few other things that can help you with objection handling, okay? Number 3 is a lot of people never evolve beyond the rigidity of just sticking to the script. The script and sticking to it is your baseline foundation that you need to know and master. That takes a little bit of time, right? But it doesn't take too long if you're dedicated. The next part is, how do we bridge the gap between following the script, but also making this interaction with this individual authentic? And this is where a lot of people will never bridge that gap and not become advanced or elite when it comes to selling. You see, I can be 100% scripted and talk to somebody and they don't feel like they're being sold to, they don't feel like they're talking to a salesperson, they feel like they're talking with a buddy. And that's a very covert, advanced way of selling because we're still following structures and techniques, but they don't detect it. And here's the key, it doesn't feel like they're being sold or talked to in a way where they're being sold. And that's the key here. So a lot of it, right, there's many layers to it. One of them would be syntax, the words that I use. You guys would agree that with the stranger, we normally are way more politically correct and we fall into these social cues and norms that make it awkward. Oh, hello, sir. Good afternoon to you. You don't talk that way. But immediately that gets filed under their in their subconscious mind is salesperson stranger. Versus your friend, you're like, oh, hey, Bill. What's up, man? How's everything? So I want to effectively have the structure, but hijack the syntax of familiarity, people that I know. Meaning when I talk to them, hey, Bill. Hey, sir. Hello, friend. If I'm calling somebody, Mr. Jack Johnson, hey, Jack. Not, oh, hello, is this Mr. Johnson? Salesperson, click. We need to start making these subtle adjustments. Why? Because then that buys you the next 5 seconds. Then you breathe more familiarity into that interaction that buys you the next 10 or 20 seconds. And that's how you start winning the game slowly when it comes to talking to people and breaking some of these barriers. The second one would be your level of comfort, right? If your voice is tense, your voice box constricts, and the voice, people can hear it. We'll pretend this is over the phone, but this is also in person. Your voice sounds differently when you're nervous. You can tell, the subconscious mind can pick up that the voice box is constrained and this person is nervous. Therefore, that energy is going to be projected on the person you're talking to. They're not going to feel good and they're not going to want to talk to you. right? So these are two early pieces in bridging this gap that are extremely important when it comes to becoming better at just the interactions in general, but in particular handling objections. Because an objection is simply a question, an unanswered question, or a little bit of uncertainty that this individual still has in regards to your product or service or whatever it is that you're offering, and you're gonna have to be able to handle it. But if anything about you, your words, your phrases, your scripts, your demeanor makes them uncertain or uncomfortable, they are not gonna move forward with you, because the number one thing that you need to focus on is making people feel comfortable and putting them in a good emotional state in order for them to feel good about saying yes. Nobody's gonna say yes if they feel extra pressured or they don't feel comfortable. We know this. So part of the sales game is to get people to feel good, feel comfortable. And if you're not good at doing that, no one's gonna tell you yes, and you're never gonna evolve beyond just the surface level and basic kind of, results that a lot of people get, because they never improve their ability to sell and their basic understandings of sales, all right? So real quick, I do have a lot of free stuff that I give. I have a free sales crash course scripts. They're all in the description. You can also leave me a comment saying, sales, right? And I'll send you the crash course and the scripts as well, but they're also in the description for you to check out. They're free, and believe me, it's gonna give you a flavor and perspective on sales that you've never heard, and this is why I think a lot of our students are so loyal and do so good, is because what we teach is just radically different than what you think you know about sales and what most people out there are teaching, all right? Other than that, guys, when it comes to objection handling, understand this. I want you to shift your mentality into being accepting or almost expecting of objections versus having the standoffish mentality with them. Because this resistance, internal resistance that you have, will be projected on people. When you get an objection, you're gonna flinch. People are gonna be able to tell that it upset you or it made you uncomfortable. And when that happens, they're gonna become uncomfortable. So understand that when you get the first objection, the sale has actually begun, because you're finally getting that first unanswered question that you can finally tackle and handle to move forward. It is normal to get objections. This is why many of you, if someone's just like, yes, 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 and they agree to everything that you say, you're almost like, wait, that was too easy. Something's fishy here. And I know a lot of you have felt that way. So with that said, change that perspective. Be open to objections. Don't expect them, but be ready for them. Don't have your guard up. Don't be surprised. Smile. Be okay with it. Great. I'm so glad you brought that up, right? Be inviting of it, right? Confirm it, praise them for it, encourage it, because the more open they are to giving you their real grievances, the quicker it's going to be and easier for you to handle it and move them forward in the sale to ultimately get them to say yes. Okay? So I'll wrap it up here, y'all. Appreciate the support. Like I said, we're posting on the new channel. I just posted the first video. I'll link it here in the description. Appreciate you guys supporting the new channel, subscribing. I'll still be posting here, but I'm really going to start going over to that one. And as soon as it builds momentum and grows like this one used to before all the suppression, we're going to fully migrate over to that channel. All right? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out all the stuff in the description. Leave me a comment if I can help you with anything. Other than that, have a good one. Subscribe, leave a thumbs up. We'll see you. Peace.